Because I was afraid my girlfriend, a delivery driver, would feel inferior, I pretended to be a rich young master from a livestock farm and dated him for 5 years, until one day I overheard his best friend asking him, "Are you still with that horse trainer? Didn't you say you'd dump him when you got bored?" Don't blame me for reminding you Dong is coming back in a few days. Stop fooling around and focus. Peeping through the door crack, I saw my girlfriend in a red dress I'd never seen before, heavily made up. Her narrow eyes sultry. Hearing this, she just looked back coldly, prompting her friend to ask again. "It's been 5 years, aren't you tired of him? That horse trainer doesn't even know you're the wealthy Chu heiress. Watch out or he'll milk you dry. Who cares? Money is nothing to us." The Chu family. My chest tightened. 5 years ago, I turned down countless wealthy socialites to be with her. I never imagined that all this time she had actually been lying to me this whole time. My breath caught. I pulled out my phone and called her. "Let's break up." Our voices rang out at the exact same time. She turned around, meeting my gaze with utter shock. "What are you doing here?" I lightly shook the peeling bag in my hand. "I was just worried you hadn't eaten yet. If you are broke, I'm here to give you cash." He regained his usual icy expression. "You heard all of that." I nodded, not denying it. Was playing with my feelings. Fun. Just as I stepped inside the glamour nightclub, I heard the DJ blast. Tonight's tab is on VIP Room 1's Paying the Tab. I found myself standing right outside VIP Box 1. I never expected my delivery girl girlfriend to actually be the wealthy Chu Jie the DJ was hyping up. She flashed a smug smile. I let out a cold laugh. How exhausting it must have been for an heiress who throws fortunes around for strangers. Yet in front of me, you pretended to be a broke girl who was always desperately short on cash. "You could have just played dumb," she said, not even bothering to lie once exposed. "I would have given you endless wealth." I let out a bitter laugh, slamming her bag onto the table. "No thanks." My heart turned to ice inch by inch. She had never seen me so aggressive before. She had almost forgotten that I am the most sought-after horse trainer in the entire city, and the rich heiresses I've rejected could circle the globe. I turned on my heel and walked away. Heading straight to the Zishan Riding Club, I led out a fresh horse and began to push it. After a few fast laps, I brought the horse back to the track only to overhear a group of rich kids gossiping nearby on horseback. "Hey Chengdong, haven't you heard? This horse trainer is a real piece of work. He has a delivery girl girlfriend, yet he still fools around with other women all day. Honestly, plenty of girls in our circle are crazy about him. The rich play their games and the poor play theirs. With that arrogant look on his face, I bet he plays even wilder than we do. Hey, did any of you notice his delivery girl girlfriend didn't come pick him up yesterday? She used to show up every single day. Who knows? Maybe they broke up long ago. He is surrounded by a dozen girls a day, so who knows if he has slept with one of them." I frowned slightly, holding my horse's reins as I looked at those men. "Watch your filthy mouths," one of them laughed. "What, too cowardly to own up to it? Are you even a man?" That's when the guy those rich kids called successful spoke up. Pointing at the white horse I was leading, he demanded to ride her. I froze and explained she was new and only trusted me. "You can't ride her, sir," he sneered. "I've ridden horses since I was a kid. Mind your own business." Jiang Chengdong ignored me, walked right up and mounted her. I couldn't stop him, so I jogged after him, warning him that he was riding at his own risk. He just smirked, yelled at the horse, and took off. Suddenly, the horse reared up on its hind legs and bolted. Jiang Chengdong lost his balance and got thrown straight to the ground. Before he could even react, the horse reared back, hooves aiming straight for his chest. His smug look vanished instantly. Luckily, I was ready. I grabbed the reins and calmly worked to soothe the horse until she finally quieted down. Just then, a familiar voice cried out, "Chengdong, are you okay?" I looked over to see him. I didn't even know when he'd arrived, pulling Jiang Chengdong up from the dirt. Immediately, Chengdong's buddies rushed over, shoving me back. "What kind of trainer are you letting Chengdong get thrown? He's the young master of the Jiang family. Can you even pay for this?" I kept my voice professional. "This horse is notoriously wild. Only Manager Liu and I can handle her. Mr. Jiang insisted on riding. He fell off on his own. How is that my fault?" He frowned, looking at me. "As a professional trainer, you let a guest get thrown. Apologize to Chengdong right now, or you're finished in this industry." Hearing him say the name Chengdong instantly triggered a memory from yesterday. I remembered his friend telling him Chengdong is coming back. Stop playing around and settle down, so this was the guy he wanted to settle down for. I scoffed. He insisted on riding after I warned him. Why should I apologize? He'd never met a guy as stubborn as me. "Why are you so stubborn and obsessed with saving face?" You got him hurt and you won't even apologize. I looked him dead in the eye. What did I force him onto that horse at knife point? He sneered. Fine, don't regret this. With that, he turned and walked away. The next morning, I received my termination letter. My manager gave me a sympathetic look. Next time, don't cross the wrong people. You offended Miss Chu. She bought this ranch yesterday, and her very first order was to fire you. I just nodded, unsurprised. I quietly left his office, clutching the termination letter. To say I wasn't heartbroken would be a lie. I'd worked at this ranch for 6 years. Every horse here felt like my own child. Yet he didn't hesitate to ruin my life just to please Jiang Chengdong. My heart ached deeply. When I got home, I noticed a package sitting on my doorstep. While I was wondering who sent it, my phone rang. It was my dad. Son, my old squad leader's 70th birthday is the day after tomorrow. I mailed his gift to your place. It's a rare raw jade piece from Beishan. They look great. Since you are in Beijing, please deliver this gift to him for me. I got the address and replied, will do, Dad. 3 days later, I arrived at the Chu estate. As soon as I got out of the car, I ran into Jiang Chengdong and his buddy Duan Chengyu. Jiang froze the second he saw me. What are you doing here? Jiang asked. I kept my face blank. I am here to deliver a birthday gift to Elder Mr. Chu on behalf of someone else. Duan Chengyu sneered. A gift. As if a prestigious man like Mr. Chu would associate with someone like you. President Chu just dumped you, so now you are trying to buy off her grandfather with her money. President Chu's grandfather. I stood there stunned. I had no idea my dad's old squad leader was her grandfather. And second Elder Mr. Chu is a highly respected man. You think he can be bought? I stepped forward and slammed my fist right into Duan Chengyu's face. Watch your filthy mouth. If Elder Mr. Chu hears you, you are finished. Duan stumbled back, shocked. Jiang Chengdong immediately stepped in front of his buddy, glaring at me. You think she actually loved you. She only dated you because of a $50 million bet. She never cared about you. A $50 million bet. Suddenly my mind flashed back 5 years to the day I finally agreed to be with her. I remembered seeing a text on her phone that day. You won the bet. 50 million has been transferred to your account. Back then she claimed it was just a scam text, so it was all a lie. Just then, Chu Qiaoxin walked out of the mansion. She paused when she saw me, but then she immediately stepped forward to take Jiang's hand. What's going on, Chengdong? She asked softly. Jiang shot me a smug, provoking look. Your ex-boyfriend is here looking for you. With a fake jealous huff, he walked inside. Chu Qiaoxin finally turned her gaze to me, her eyes cold and dismissive. Why are you here? I wanted to tell her I came to celebrate her grandfather's birthday. But her sharp words cut me off. I stood frozen as her words pierced through me like ice. Behind me, Duan and his wealthy friends started snickering. Hear that? She told you to get lost. Have some self-respect. Honestly, he's probably not training horse. She's training women. All that riding probably makes him real different from us in bed, if you know what I mean. I clenched my fists, swallowing my anger. I didn't want to cause a scene on my dad's old squad leader's birthday, so I chose to ignore them. But as I tried to walk inside the trust fund, kids blocked my path. Move President Chu told you to scram. Are you completely shameless? Right as I was about to set them straight, the butler stepped up to me and bowed. Mr. Fu Elder, Mr. Chu is expecting you. Leaving the stunned crowd behind, I followed him to the study. Inside sat an elderly man wearing a traditional suit. He looked up, his face softening. You must be old Fu's son. Look at you, you are all grown up now. I nodded. My father's legs aren't doing so well, but he misses you dearly, so he sent me to deliver this gift. I hope you like it. The old man's eyes warmed with affection. You are the spitting image of your dad. Back in the day, he was the absolute best soldier in my unit. It was a shame he had to retire early after getting injured. How is his health these days? I replied respectfully. He is doing well, sir. Thank you for asking. The old man chuckled. You know I have a granddaughter around your age. I should introduce you to sometime. I smiled and nodded, though inside I knew it would never happen. We talked a bit longer before I politely excused myself. Dragging my exhausted body back to my apartment, I unlocked the door. In the dim moonlight filtering through the window, I saw Chu Qiaoxin sitting on my living room sofa. I froze, my voice cold. What are you doing here? Her eyes darkened in the shadows. I figured you wouldn't bother coming home tonight. I frowned and flipped the light switch. Whether I come home is none of your business. Chu Qiaoxin stood up and stepped right into my space. Fu Yanxi, since you are pretty good in bed, let me give you a friendly warning. Liu Yanluo already has a fiancée. Her little crush on you is just a passing phase. You better have some self-awareness, unless you want to be the only fool who gets hurt. I was stunned. I had no idea Liu Yanluo was engaged. But then again, in those wealthy circles is anyone ever truly faithful? A sudden flare of anger surged in my chest. What right do you have to judge her? Chu Qiaoxin, the two of you are exactly the same. Now get the hell out of my apartment. I turned, slammed my bedroom door shut, and locked it. I had no idea when she finally left. I tossed and turned for hours, unable to quiet my racing mind. When sleep finally took me, I dreamed of the early days of our relationship. That winter was brutal. I was training a wild horse and took a nasty spill off its back. By nightfall, I had a raging fever. In my semi-conscious haze, I remember Chu Qiaoxin rushing over and driving me straight to the emergency room. She stayed by my hospital bed for 3 days and nights. The nurses even teased me, saying my wife was about to faint from worrying so much. I genuinely believed she loved me, that we were built to last. So I poured my entire soul into her, even preparing to settle down in Beijing forever. I would have gladly lived a quiet, ordinary life for her, but it was all a lie. I woke up gasping, my forehead drenched in cold sweat. Needing to clear my head, I decided to go riding. I purposely avoided my old workplace at the Shishan Ranch, driving 2 hours to a different arena instead. But the moment I changed into my gear and mounted my horse, I ran straight into Jiang Chengdong and Chu Qiaoxin. I turned to leave, but Jiang immediately cut me off. Mr. Fu, I hear horse trainers have world-class skills. Why don't we have a little race today? I glanced at Chu Qiaoxin, then back at Jiang. What kind of race? I asked. Jiang smirked. At 10 laps around the track. The loser has to crawl 3 laps around the arena screaming, I am a useless dog the whole time. What do you say? I let out a dry laugh. Sounds fun. Let's do it. I practically grew up in a saddle. I'm not afraid of anyone. But what if you chicken out? Jiang's eyes flashed with venomous confidence. Whoever backs out is a dog. I turned my gaze slowly to Chu Qiaoxin. President Chu, you wouldn't want to watch your new boyfriend turn into a dog, would you? Chu Qiaoxin had dated me for 5 years. She knew what I was capable of. She leaned in, lowering her voice. Chengdong, stop. He is a master trainer. You cannot beat him. Jiang tightened his grip on his reins, his jaw clenching. Qiaoxin, I already won you from him. It is just a horse race. How could I lose to a servant like him? I couldn't help but laugh. Mr. Jiang, let me tell you something. First of all, I dumped him. He didn't dump me. Cut the crap and let's race. Whoever loses is a dog. As Jiang Chengdong finished speaking, the crowd eagerly waited for the drama to unfold. The staff led out 2 horses, a black thoroughbred and a white steed. Oh, really? They gave me the white horse and gave the black one to Jiang Chengdong. The crowd shook their head show. Could a regular white horse ever beat a black thoroughbred? Sure enough, when the signal fired, Jiang's black horse shot forward like an arrow. But my white horse just put its head down, munching on grass, refusing to budge. The crowd in the stands erupted in laughter. And he calls himself a horse trainer. The horse won't even listen to him. Jiang Chengdong finished a lap and stopped right in front of me with a smirk. What's wrong? Why isn't your horse listening? I really don't get what Qiaoxin saw in you while I was gone for 5 years. Honestly, you're nothing special. With a crack of his whip, he bolted forward again. I didn't care. We'd see who the real animal was soon enough. I looked down at my white horse. This was no ordinary horse. It was an untamed Akhalteke, one of the rarest breeds in the world. Legend says this was the breed of Lu Bu's legendary red hair. I kept guiding the stallion in tight circles, but he was still wild, stomping and kicking furiously. I stroked his neck, whispering softly until he finally calmed down. A light drizzle began to fall, soaking my clothes. By now, Jiang Chengdong had already lapped me 3 times. I smiled and whispered, Come on, boy, help me win today, and I'll buy you myself. My family owns several massive grasslands. You can run and eat all you want. You're supposed to be a legendary red hair. Are you really going to let some ordinary thoroughbred beat you? Gradually, I felt our connection click. I finally gave the command to run. I pulled the reins back slightly, and the stallion leaped forward like a bolt of white lightning. The crowd in the stands and Chu Qiaoxin watched in absolute shock as I, riding what looked like a cheap white horse, blew right past Jiang Chengdong and crossed the finish line first. The crowd erupted into a wild roar. Jiang stared at my back, in absolute disbelief, stammering, How is this possible? I pulled the reins, turned the stallion around, and looked down at him with a cold, triumphant smirk. Don't forget our wager, Jiang. His face instantly turned pale. He never imagined that his plan to humiliate me would backfire so spectacularly. Just then, Chu Qiaoxin walked over from the stands holding an umbrella. Fu Yanxi, don't go too far. You're a professional trainer. This is your specialty. Don't you think you're playing dirty? Her words made me think back to how pathetic I looked at the starting line. I'm playing dirty, Chu Qiaoxin. Did you ever stop to think about what he would have done to me if I had lost today? She froze for a moment, then stammered. Well, Chengdong can be a bit reckless, but I'm sure he wouldn't have gone too far. Reckless? I scoffed, turning to Jiang Chengdong. It seems Mr. Jiang doesn't want to honor his word. He'd rather be a dog. Suddenly, Duan Chengyu chimed in, "Let's race again." It was definitely the horse's fault. Swap horses. Jiang Chengdong's eyes lit up. Yes, it had to be the horse. I was so far ahead, there's no way I could lose otherwise. Let's do a rematch and swap, I replied coldly. Sure, you can ride my stallion. Just don't blame me when you end up eating dirt. Jiang Chengdong immediately backed away, too terrified to go near the beast. Before the race, he had intentionally rigged it, assigning me a wild, stubborn, and dangerous white horse. He never expected I could actually tame it. Chu Qiaoxin's face darkened. Aren't all these ranch horses trained? Why would he fall? I looked straight at Jiang Chengdong. You'll have to ask your sore loser of a fiancé about that. Who are you calling a sore loser? Jiang's face twisted in rage. Then walk around the track and yell that you're a fraud. Just like we agreed, I said slowly. Jiang clenched his fists, glaring at me. He was speechless. Soaked to the skin, I had no desire to waste more time on him. See you, puppy. Just as I walked out, I ran into Liu Yanluo. Yan, why haven't you been answering my calls? Seeing her made me think of Chu Qiaoxin's warning about her fiancé. Frowning, I spoke plainly. Miss Liu, I might just be a horse trainer, but I don't play the third wheel. You have a fiancé, so go focus on him. Her face filled with confusion. Yan, please let me explain. I cut her off. There's no need, Miss Liu. I'm actually leaving this place soon. I'm going back to my family. I'm never returning to this fake city. Liu Yanluo froze. Will you ever come back? I didn't answer her. There was no point. Back home, my phone rang. It was my dad. Son, the family private jet is cleared for departure. When are you coming home? Thinking about all the recent drama, I replied tomorrow. Right after hanging up, my phone rang again. It was Chu Qiaoxin's best friend, Shu Ran. For Yanxi, get to room 101 at Juxing Entertainment right now. Qiaoxin got into a fight and something happened. I frowned. If she's in trouble, why didn't you call Jiang Chengdong? Why are you calling me? Just get here. She hung up. After 5 years together, I couldn't just ignore it, so I went. But as I reached the door of the VIP suite, I heard the crowd talking inside. Jiang Chengdong was laughing with his friends. I'm going to make Fu Yanxi pay for what happened yesterday, Chu Qiaoxin asked. What do you plan to do? Chengdong Jiang's expression darkened. An eye for an eye. Someone suggested making me live stream myself, admitting I'm a loser. Duan Chengyu scoffed. That's way too soft. Then Jiang Chengdong spoke each word deliberately. Qiaoxin, I want you to personally get Fu Yanxi wasted. I've hired guys to record him, kneeling, begging, and repeating that he's trash 1,000 times. Then we throw him in the river to feed the fish. Chu Qiaoxin gasped. That is way too far, Jiang Chengdong. Seeing her hesitate, he snapped. Qiaoxin, you used to do whatever I asked. Now I just want to ruin some trash, and you're backing out. Do you actually like him? Chu Qiaoxin ignored the sudden sting in her chest. How could I? Why would I ever love a simple horse trainer? Chengdong, you're the only one I care about. Being with him was just a game to pass the time. Jiang stared at her. Then prove it. Help me ruin his life and make him a laughingstock. He grabbed her hands. He kept you from me for 5 years, Qiaoxin. I want him gone. Those 5 years are a stain on my pride. I want him completely erased. Chu Qiaoxin went silent. Duan Chengyu chimed in. Don't worry, Qiaoxin. We won't actually kill him. We just want to teach him a lesson and get revenge for Chengdong. Someone will pull him out of the water. We will have a rescue diver waiting in the water to pull him out, Chu Qiaoxin finally whispered. Fine. Listening to all of this from outside, I immediately called my dad. Dad, can you come early? I ran into some trouble here. Once I explained the situation, I hung up. I pushed the door open and walked inside. Looking straight at Chu Qiaoxin in the middle of the crowd, I said, I thought you were in trouble. Meeting her eyes, she looked incredibly guilty. Yanxi, come over here. I need to tell you something. What? She smiled gently. Let's get back together. After 5 years together, I've realized that I actually love you. I laughed, bitter tears stinging my eyes. What a pathetic joke. Are you sure about that? Your precious childhood sweetheart is sitting right next to you. My laughter seemed to pierce her soul, and she turned to look at Jiang Chengdong. Chengdong, I don't love you anymore. The only one I love is Yanxi. Jiang gasped in shock. Watching their little drama unfold, they almost looked convincing. A wave of bitterness hit my chest. This was the woman I had loved for 5 long years. I looked her in the eyes. I've never loved anyone else. You were my first. The crowd began to jeer. Hey, brother-in-law, we need a toast to celebrate. Cheers. A long row of heavy shots was lined up in front of me. I stared at the glasses. Qiaoxin, do you really want me to drink this? She looked down, avoiding my eyes. We'll drink together. If you pass out, we'll make sure you get home safely. Yeah, drink up, I sneered inwardly, stepping forward to empty several glasses. The cheap liquor burned my throat. Growing up on the open grasslands, I could drink anyone under the table. These shots were nothing to me, but now I had to play the part and pretend to pass out. Closing my eyes slowly, I heard Chu Qiaoxin whisper, "Remember our deal. Don't actually kill him." Jiang sneered dismissively. I know. You're too soft. Did you honestly think our elite circle would ever accept a pathetic horse trainer like him?" They dumped my body by the muddy riverbank and retreated to their luxury cars. I waited until the sound of their engines faded before slowly opening my eyes. Suddenly, several scarred thugs emerged from the shadows, cameras in hand, closing in on me with sinister grins. "So you're the guy who crossed Master Jiang. We don't need to explain the rest, do we? Get on your knees, beg and yell that you're a dog 1,000 times." I slowly stood up, remaining silent. Suddenly, a massive squad of elite bodyguards rushed out of the pitch-black night, slamming the thugs face first onto the concrete. The lead guard approached and bowed deeply. "Young master." My father, leaning on his cane, stepped forward out of the darkness. "Son, are you hurt?" I waved my hand. "I'm fine, Dad." Reassured, my father's warm expression turned cold as ice as he glared at the pinned thugs. "Who sent you? Who dared to order a hit on my son? Throw them all into the river to feed the fish." The thugs instantly dissolved into tears, begging for mercy. "Please, no. We were just hired by the second young master of the Jiang family. It wasn't our idea." I gestured for the guards to hold. "I'll spare your lives under one condition. Go back in an hour and tell them the job is done, that you threw me in the river. Keep this secret forever. Understand?" They nodded furiously. Watching them flee into the night, I turned to my father. "Let's go, Dad. As of tonight, I'm dead to Chu Qiaoxin. We will never meet again." I helped my father onto our private jet. Meanwhile, inside a stretched Lincoln limousine, Qiaoxin's friends were playing cards and drinking. Duan Chengyu laughed. "Hey, Chengdong, make sure you send me a copy of that video later." "I can't wait to see that horse trainer begging on his knees." Jiang Chengdong grinned. "Absolutely." Another friend chimed in. "Me too. I'm going to post it online and destroy him. That'll teach him what happens when you mess with the Jiang family." The whole car erupted into laughter. Listening to their cruel jokes, Chu Qiaoxin felt a sudden, suffocating panic. She stood up to go find me, but Jiang Chengdong grabbed her arm. "Don't you dare go. If you walk out that door, we are finished." Qiaoxin hesitated, staying in her seat. Finally, an hour later, the thug stumbled back to the limousine, breathless and pale. Qiaoxin stepped out, scanning the dark street. Not seeing me anywhere, her chest tightened with dread. She marched up to them and demanded, "Where is Fu Yanxi?" The lead thug lowered his head, stammering, "We followed Master Jiang's orders. We beat him and threw him into the river. He's probably feeding the fish by now." Qiaoxin's eyes widened in absolute horror. She bolted toward the dark, rushing water, screaming my name, but the river was completely still. An overwhelming, suffocating panic clawed at her chest. She screamed at her guards, "Get in the water and find Fu Yanxi. If you don't find him, I will ruin you all." Minutes later, one of the searchers emerged from the dark water. "Miss Chu, we found his shoe. The current is incredibly fast tonight. There is no telling where he's been washed away." Qiaoxin grabbed the wet shoe, a sharp pain piercing her chest. She opened her mouth to scream, but her throat felt blocked with cotton. Finally, she choked out, "Keep searching. If he is alive, find him. If he's dead, I want his body." The icy wind howled, whipping through her hair. Clutching my shoe tightly, her lifeless eyes stared blankly at the dark water. Hours ticked away. With every diver that surfaced empty-handed, her heart sank deeper. Her mind began to drift, flooding with memories. She remembered the night I finally agreed to be hers, how she had been so incredibly happy she couldn't sleep all night. She remembered the very first time she saw me wearing fitted black riding gear that highlighted my athletic build, standing fearlessly before a wild, untamed stallion. With a black leather whip in my hand, every move I made dripped with raw, fierce ambition to conquer the beast. From the second I stepped out, Qiaoxin's eyes were locked on me, completely captivated. Even now she remembered that moment with perfect clarity. Beside him, Shu Ren whispered about my background. I was just the new horse trainer, a top university grad who was handsome but arrogant. Lots of rich girls chased me, but I rejected them all. Since I rejected them, she figured I was someone who wouldn't bend for money. Chu Qiaoxin smiled, finding my lack of interest in money amusing. Shu Ren nudged her, interested. He's too proud for our circle. No one catches his eye. Chu Qiaoxin stayed quiet, her lips curling into a smirk. I will win him over within 3 months. Shu Ren snorted. Come on. People always chase you. You're going to chase him. Don't make me laugh. Do you even know how to chase a man? Chu Qiaoxin stared down at me, silent. Shu Ren grew excited. 50 million says you can't do it. Chu Qiaoxin smirked. Plus that northern land. Shu Ren agreed, but warned her. Give up. A man who doesn't care about money is the most dangerous. What could he possibly want, right? I didn't care about money. What did I want? Back then she thought she understood. Now she finally does, but I am no longer by her side. Chu Qiaoxin gripped my shoe, her knuckles turning white. Rain began to fall over the rushing river as a rescue worker stepped ashore. The current is too swift, President Chu. It's too dangerous to search. The golden window has passed. Please accept our condolences. Rain blurred her vision and her eyes turned bloodshot as she stared at the water. Looking at my shoe, she whispered, "Keep searching if there is even a shred of hope." Jiang Chengdong walked over with a black umbrella. "Qiaoxin, it's almost 10. Why waste time on a lowlife who's dead? Is it worth making such a big scene?" Chu Qiaoxin's heart clenched. She suddenly slapped Jiang Chengdong hard across the face. "Did I not tell you not to take a life?" His umbrella fell to the wet ground. "Qiaoxin, you actually slapped me. For that piece of trash," she hit him again. "Who gave you permission to speak of him like that?" He stared in shock. "Don't tell me you love him. You told me that you were just playing with him." Chu Qiaoxin ignored him, staring blankly. "Chengdong, you went too far. If anything happens to Yanxi, I won't let you off." Seeing her cold, serious expression, he panicked. Even as the Jiang family's second master, he couldn't afford to cross her. "Are you serious? I'm your fiancé. You're destroying me for Fu Yanxi. Has your heart changed? I should have never gone to America. Can we go back to how we were?" He grabbed her hand, begging. Chu Qiaoxin looked at him with icy eyes and violently shook off his grip. "Get lost," she growled, leaving him humiliated and utterly pathetic. It was his first time losing face like this, especially to the woman who once followed him around. Now she was hitting him over a mere horse trainer. Pointing a finger at her, he hissed, "You will regret this. I am calling off our engagement." He stormed back to his Lincoln, slammed the door, and sped away. Chu Qiaoxin was left alone in the heavy rain. Inside the car, someone tried to comfort him. "Don't be sad. Once she cools down, she'll realize you're the best fit. You're the heir of the Jiang family, a perfect match." Jiang Chengdong stared blankly out the window, wondering if leaving the country was his biggest mistake. If he hadn't gone abroad, would they be married by now? The onlookers couldn't believe their eyes. For years, they had all seen how much she adored him. To stay in her family's good graces, they had treated his words like gospel. Now he was publicly slapped twice. If her fiancé got that treatment, what would happen to them? Chu Qiaoxin stood frozen, letting the heavy rain wash over her body. Xu Ran had never seen her like this. "What's going on?" she frowned. "Qiaoxin, do you know what you're doing? Chengdong is your fiancé. Did you really fall in love with Fu Yanxi? This is crazy." Her chest tightened. "Love. When we were close, I used to ask her if she loved me. She always said yes, but I thought she was just playing with me, so her answers always felt half-hearted. She always believed she didn't love me. But now, why did her heart ache so badly? She suddenly realized she loved me, but that love ran too deep. By the time she noticed, it was already too late." She glared at Xu Ran. "Say another word, and I will destroy your entire family." Xu Ran shut up. A day passed, and Chu Qiaoxin drove to the apartment we had shared for 5 whole years. Sitting on the leather sofa, the room was so quiet she could only hear her own breathing. She picked up a fallen photo frame, looking at our picture. The place was filled with my memory, but I was gone. Her phone rang. She answered quickly. "Did you find him? No, President Chu. We haven't found Mr. Fu's body. The heavy rain might have washed him downstream. We are still searching." Her chest tightened with pain. "Like a sharp needle prick. Keep searching. I only want Fu Yanxi." She hung up, her chest aching. Only when lying on the bed where we used to make love could she feel my faint presence. Her heart felt gripped by an invisible hand. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw my face, my smile, and heard my voice. Her heart felt hollowed out. Dizzy and weak, she fainted from a high fever. In a daze, she had a dream. She dreamed of when we first met. This time, she didn't lie or play games. Instead, she honestly told me her real identity and chased me with everything she had. The joy of finding me again filled her heart. In that dream, she kissed me for the first time. When she finally woke up, she was in a hospital. Frowning, she asked, "Why am I here? Qiaoxin, how have a 40-degree fever without realizing it?" Xu Ran looked at her in disbelief. "Let me post an update first, but really, you are always so healthy. How did you get sick?" Meanwhile, after I got off the plane, I rode a Chevrolet back to my family's estate. At dinner, my mother, Yeshuyu, served my favorite greens and looked at me expectantly. "Your father told me about Chu's granddaughter. I didn't want you to go back to the capital after what happened, right? Will you stay home from now on, shoveling rice?" I said, "I am definitely not going back. I'll stay home." My mother's eyes welled up. "Good. Just don't leave. I missed you so much these 5 years." My chest tightened. Looking back, I was so unfilial. I hadn't come home for 5 years over a woman who didn't love me. Soon I'll be 30 and they'll be 50. For 5 years, I was too busy dating Chu Qiaoxin and trying to fit into her circle. I forgot the people who loved me most. I put down my chopsticks and hugged my mother. Mom, I'm sorry for worrying you. My mother patted my back gently. Silly boy, no need to apologize. I'm just glad you're back. Even my quiet father's eyes turned red. Let's eat before it gets cold. My mother wiped her tears. Right, let's eat. The next day, my father told me to dress up and took me to a 5-star restaurant. Getting out of the Chevrolet, I asked him, so whose daughter am I meeting on this blind date today? My father smiled mysteriously. You'll see. You knew each other as kids. I was completely lost. I had no memory of that. Inside, the receptionist bowed deeply. Welcome this way. Soon we entered a luxury private room. A woman was already sitting inside. I frowned, finding her back familiar. As I walked closer and saw her face, I froze. She turned and smiled, expecting me. Yen. It was actually Liu Yanluo. I stood there utterly shocked. Why are you here? Liu Yanluo smiled faintly and shrugged. As you can see, our matchmaking set up. My eyes darted between her and my dad. My gaze shifted between them, finally stopping on my dad. Wait, what is going on? Is your partner's daughter Liu Yanluo? Yes. She was in the capital. Didn't you two already hang out for a while? She said she liked you. Since you broke up with your girlfriend, your mother and I arranged the engagement with Uncle Liu. I was speechless. My dad and Uncle Liu smiled. See, I told you it was right. Thinking about it, I still felt something was off. Is this appropriate? I'm the one getting married, yet I'm the last to know. My father frowned. What is wrong with it? Do you not like Xiao Yuan? No, but father interrupted. If you don't dislike her, then try dating. Uncle Liu and I have business. You two eat. Call the driver later. They left, leaving the two of us alone in the room. The huge room was empty except for us. Remembering how I had misunderstood her before, I felt extremely awkward. I cleared my throat. Yanluo, I really didn't know my dad had arranged our engagement. Liu Yanluo shook her head. I wanted to explain, but you didn't give me the chance. Let's reintroduce ourselves. I'm Liu Yanluo. You used to call me Xiao Yuan. My mind drifted back to when we were kids. My dad had brought home a little round-faced girl. I forgot her real name, so I just called her Xiao Yuan. At first, I disliked her because she always refused to play, choosing to lock herself away and read. I only found out later her parents were divorcing. My dad had me keep her company to stop her from getting depressed. So we spent our days reading in the study. Then one day she asked, "Can you teach me to ride a horse so I can go find my mom?" I asked where her mother was offering to just take her there. She shook her head. Let's learn to ride first. I'll go find her once I know where she is. From then on, she was my only companion. We spent a whole 3 years together before her father took her away. Now I stared in disbelief. It's really you, President Liu. When did you recognize me? Liu. Yanluo looked at me softly. Remember when we first met in the capital, I told you that you looked like an old friend. Remember when we first met in the capital and you thought I was just trying to pick you up? I wasn't entirely sure it was you until I saw you riding so freely on horseback, but when you said you had a girlfriend, my jaw nearly hit the floor. My first meeting with Liu Yanluo went back nearly 3 years. I had no idea she had noticed me so early on. The little girl who lived in my house for 3 years was now the powerful President Liu. I felt pretty foolish. To think that back then I was actually suspecting a rich heiress like you of wanting to keep me as a toy boy. It's incredibly embarrassing to look back on. Yanluo chuckled. My fault. I should have told you sooner. We smiled instantly, stepping back into childhood and began to chat. I realized she was just as talkative as she was as a kid and incredibly sharp. No matter what topic I brought up, she kept pace. After dinner, she offered to drive me home. I agreed. We had barely started driving when my phone rang. It was my dad. Son, what do you think about setting the engagement party on the 19th of this month? Your mom says it's a lucky day. I checked my phone. It was already the 10th. Dad, aren't you rushing things? My dad shrugged. It's just an engagement. If you don't like it, we can always cancel it later. Let's just lock it in for now. I was about to protest, but Yanluo, who was driving, suddenly chimed in. Ah, Yan, I think your dad is right. Just look at it as starting my evaluation period early. My eyes widened. I whispered, wait, why are you adding to the chaos? Yanluo smiled. You aren't scared, are you? Is the little troublemaker actually afraid? I knew it was reverse psychology, but it worked. Who's scared? It's just an engagement. If you're not afraid, why would I be? Her lips curled into a smirk. All right, let's set the party for the 18th then. I'll discuss the details with your dad. I choked. I had totally shot myself in the foot. Still, I forced myself to say, sure, it's just an engagement. I don't care. Once I got home, our parents finalized the date. Lying in bed, everything felt like a dream. Suddenly, I was engaged. On the 18th, a crowd of reporters packed the venue. The engagement of Fu Yanxi, heir to the Jin family's breeding empire, and President Liu of Zhenxing Group. Yanluo held my arm as we stepped into the crowd. People gasped. They looked so perfect together. Stunning heirs. Hearing this, my expression remained calm. After all, I was used to being praised my entire life. I leaned in close to Yanluo's ear and whispered, "You look beautiful today." Her lips curved up into a soft smile. "You're very handsome, too." From an outsider's perspective, we looked like we were kissing. Fu Yanxi. A familiar voice suddenly called out. I turned around and locked eyes with someone I knew all too well. It was Chu Qiaoxin. She stared in absolute shock that I was actually alive. Suppressing her anger, she spoke. "You're the heir of the Jin family's breeding empire, Fu Yanxi. You're alive. Why did you lie to me?" I looked at her casually. "What President Chu? Are you the only one allowed to lie?" Her face stiffened, her chest aching with a sharp, dull pain. Yes, she had lied to me first, but to her that didn't justify faking my death. Clinging to a defense, she cried, "Even so, you shouldn't have faked your death." "Do you know how I've survived this whole time?" I smirked. I was just returning the favor. "Honestly, I couldn't care less how you've been. You were probably just tortured by guilt." Staring into my cold eyes, something stabbed her heart. She forced the feeling down and said with a trembling voice, "Ayan, I've missed you so much since you left. I didn't recognize my own heart before. Can you give me another chance?" I raised an eyebrow, staring coldly at her. "I don't think I'm obligated to wait for President Chu to recognize her own heart." My words stabbed like a knife into Chu Qiaoxin's chest, turning her face pale. She took a deep breath, trying to calm her raging emotions, but her voice still carried a trace of anger as she spoke. "Ayan, you said you've never loved anyone else." "I was your first, right?" I felt a dull ache. "Sure, I was blind back then and fell for the wrong person, so what, I don't love her anymore. Simple as that." I reached out and took Yanluo's hand, looking at Chu Qiaoxin. "President Chu, let me introduce you. This is my fiancé, Liu Yanluo. Welcome to our engagement party. Enjoy yourself, but we must excuse ourselves." As I turned to leave with Yanluo, Chu Qiaoxin stared at our joined hands, jealousy exploding. She grabbed my hand and said coldly in front of everyone, "You can't get engaged." Before I could react, Yanluo grabbed her wrist, an unmasked threat in her voice. "President Chu, look at where we are." The two clashed at daggers drawn, looking as if they'd fight right then and there. This bizarre tension instantly drew a crowd. Reporters immediately raised their cameras. The heir of the Chu group, confronting Zhenxin Group's President Liu, both powerful, wealthy socialites fighting over the heir of the billion-dollar breeding empire, Fu Yanxi. This massive headline was a done deal. I noticed everyone staring at us, let out an awkward laugh, and quietly pried Chu Qiaoxin's hand off mine. I whispered to her, "As you can see, today is my engagement. If you do anything out of line, my dad won't let you off." Just then her phone rang. It was Jiang Chengdong. She coldly snapped at Yanluo. "Let go." Yanluo released her, but kept glaring. I patted Yanluo's hand reassuringly and whispered, "Let's go." Yanluo nodded slightly and turned to leave. Chu Qiaoxin watched us walk away and finally answered. On the other end, Jiang Chengdong's frantic voice cried, "Sister Xin, save my family." Chu Qiaoxin frowned, impatient. "What is it?" Jiang Chengdong cried. "The Jiang family is bankrupt. The bank came in force and took everything they could carry. My dad was also taken away. I don't know what to do. Qiaoxin only. You can save us." Chu Qiaoxin asked, irritated. "What happened?" Jiang Chengdong panicked. "I don't know. They said it's a tax issue and my dad was taken for investigation." "My dad is an upright man. Someone must have framed us. Qiaoxin only. You can save my family." Jiang Chengdong's world had completely collapsed. Out of nowhere, everything he knew fell apart, leaving him ruined with his father behind bars over tax fraud. Hearing this, Chu Qiaoxin suddenly recalled a project from 3 years ago in Liaocheng. Jiang Chengdong had wanted her to invest, but she refused because of shady accounts. Was it because of that Liaocheng project? Jiang Chengdong's breath caught. Qiaoxin, I didn't know. Even if he denied it, she would find out soon. There were two things she hated most in life, being used and being lied to. She began to suspect that 3 years ago, Jiang Chengdong had used her and now he was lying to her. She lowered her voice. "Chengdong, you know what I hate most, right?" Jiang Chengdong's heart trembled. "Yes, I know. What is it?" Chu Qiaoxin hung up and called her assistant to investigate the Jiang family. Meanwhile, Yanluo and I moved to the inner hall. Most guests were my dad's business partners. I watched Yanluo effortlessly work the room, arranging golf, bowling, and tennis games as if she could keep any crowd entertained. After a round, I couldn't help but ask, "Where did you learn all that corporate talk? Do you actually know them?" She smiled. "It's just business. Some I know, some I don't. A young master like you who ignores family business, of course, wouldn't understand." I nodded, deeply impressed. "No wonder you graduated from an Ivy League school. Your social skills are unmatched." Yanluo let out a soft laugh, looking at me with warm, gentle eyes. "Yan, this is just second nature to me. But once you inherit the Fu family empire, you'll have to get used to it. Still, if you don't want to, I can easily support you after we marry, I scoffed. Who says I'm marrying you? I can take care of myself. Yanluo giggled, leaning close to my ear, her voice barely a whisper. Sure, but it's bound to happen eventually. I glared at her. She smiled. All right, let's go sit over there. We walked over to the sofa and sat down. Just then, a waiter approached with 2 glasses of red wine, placing them respectfully before us. I looked at Yanluo. That gentle smile never left her lips, making her hard to read. It was like trying to understand someone through a veil, leaving me completely intrigued. But I had to admit, she was the perfect fiancée. As the engagement party ended and Yanluo and I walked out, we ran right into Chu Qiaoxin. She stepped in front of me, saying coldly, "We need to talk." I frowned, disgust flashing in my eyes. I don't think we have anything to talk about. The only reason I didn't seek revenge is because I don't want to become like you. What you and Jiang Chengdong did will disgust me for the rest of my life. I turned to leave, but Chu Qiaoxin reached out to grab my hand, wanting to say more only to be blocked by Yanluo. She stepped forward, forcing her back, and warned, "I'm warning you, stay away from my fiancé or don't blame me for being ruthless." Chu Qiaoxin clenched her fists, meeting Yanluo's gaze without fear. Others might fear you, but I, Chu Qiaoxin, don't. The Chu family isn't so easy to deal with. A crack appeared on Yanluo's usually calm face, but she quickly composed herself. Is that so? Then let's wait and see. Yanluo turned and got in the car, saying gently, "Sorry to keep you waiting." I smiled and shook my head. No. What did you say to her? Yanluo turned and smiled. I don't think you'd want to know. I was taken aback. I really didn't care about her business, but I was still curious. Just then, my phone rang abruptly, cutting off our conversation. I looked down and saw someone I hadn't contacted in nearly a year. I remember when my buddy Xiao Yi called. As soon as it connected, his voice boomed out, "Bro, I'm coming back the day after tomorrow." Finally graduated, I teased him. "Wait, did you not say you were getting expelled? How did you pull this off?" He totally dodged the question. He brushed it off, saying, "Bro, I just really did not want to stay in Germany anymore, so I used a little superpower. But wait, I saw your dad's post. You are engaged. Did he actually agree to you? And that delivery girl from before..." I glanced at Liu Yanluo, feeling a bit awkward. "No, we broke up a long time ago." My buddy got excited. "Good, I told you so. So, who is this fiancée? Is she hot? When did you start dating?" I quickly explained, "We are not dating. She is the daughter of my dad's business partner." He gasped. "You got engaged without even dating." Well, I guess business marriages are normal for big families like yours. The world is crazy now. Still, she looks pretty. But what is her personality like? I glanced at Liu Yanluo. "I will tell you later. She is sitting right next to me." Silence on the other end, then the call abruptly cut off. A second later, my phone buzzed with a text from him. "Why did you not tell me sooner? Did she hear all of that? You cannot set your own brother up like this." I quickly texted back. "Probably. She is the young President Liu I mentioned before." He sent 3 question marks. "Wait, you moved so fast I knew she liked you, and now you are engaged." I stared at the screen, completely lost for words. "She definitely likes you, and now you are engaged." The car fell into a tense, heavy silence as Liu Yanluo turned her gaze back to me. She suddenly asked, "Yan, what do you think we are to each other now?" I froze, meeting her cool, quiet gaze. I had no idea how to answer. Why the sudden question? She felt a twinge of bitterness, but replied, "Just wondering." "I just wanted to see where we stand. We have known each other for so long. Do you like me even just a little?" I did not know how to respond. When I first met her, I had a girlfriend, so I kept my distance from other women, but with her, seeing the hope in her eyes made it hard to reject her outright, so we ended up having a few meals together. Once I made my boundaries clear, she kept things strictly friendly. But now I am starting to confuse my own feelings for her. What exactly are they? For the rest of the drive, I would offer a word here and there, and she would reply half-heartedly. I could clearly feel her disappointment. Soon the car pulled into my family estate, stopping right in front of our French villa. The driver opened my door and said respectfully, "Mr. Fu, we have arrived." I nodded, thanked him, and got out. Before closing the door, I turned back to look at her. "Get home safe, Yanluo," I said softly. "Goodbye," hearing that her eyes suddenly lit up when she asked. I was totally confused, when what she looked at me, a smile playing on her lips. "You said goodbye, as in, see you again. When and where are we meeting?" I couldn't help but laugh. So that is what she meant. But wasn't that just basic politeness? "Are you asking me out?" I teased. She smiled beautifully, but shook her head. "Yan, it is pretty obvious. I am chasing you." My heart skipped a beat at her directness. After a long pause, I looked at her and smiled. "They say a girl chasing a boy is easy, but catching me will not be simple. Let's see if you can pass the test." She stared at me with intense focus. "True gold fears no fire. Neither does true love." From the back seat, she watched me disappear into the villa. "Let's go back to the hotel," she told the driver. 3 days later, wearing sunglasses, I arrived at the airport. From afar, I spotted a guy in a leather jacket and pants looking pure street style. Fu Yanxi. Xiao Yi dragged his suitcase over and punched me twice in the chest. Damn, you are still in great shape. Been working out secretly. I pushed him away with mock disgust. Why do you still act like a thug? Did those years abroad cure nothing? He smirked. You have no idea, do you foreigners love my style? Over the last few years, the girls I have dated could literally line up all the way from here to France, and every single one of them was a gorgeous top-tier beauty. Did you not have a favorite among them? I prodded. He shrugged casually. Of course I did. My recent girlfriend was incredibly gorgeous. I will show you her photo later. I wanted to stay with her longer, but then her mom showed up with 60 million and told me to get lost. So here I am, rolling back home with 60 million. I froze. For some reason, I sensed a trace of sadness in his voice. Is that why you came back? Are you not heartbroken? He paused, brushed off his feelings, and laughed. Me sad over 60 million. Not everyone is lucky enough to get that kind of offer, right? My chest tightened. When I first met him, his family was poor, and he lived with his elderly grandmother, but he never compromised for money. I don't know what he went through in Germany, but I felt for him. If you ever need cash, just tell me. I have got your back. He chuckled. All right, rich boy. Can we go home now? I nodded, led him outside, and handed his bags to the driver. You are staying with me, okay? No need for a hotel. We have years to catch up on. He rolled his eyes. You really wanted me to stay in some random hotel instead of your family estate. No way, I laughed. My bad, boss. Let's get in. We both hopped in, and the driver headed back to the villa. We chatted and laughed the whole way. Man, the city has changed so much, he sighed. It wasn't developed like this when we were in high school. I nodded. Well, think about it. How many years has it been? Almost 12 years now. Let's host a class reunion. I am a multimillionaire now, after all. I shook my head amused. You always act on a whim. But he was already scrolling through our old high school group chat. He started organizing the reunion right then. Many classmates replied they were out of town and couldn't make it, while others could only do the weekend because of work. Once we got home, we collapsed onto the sofa. Hey, do you think Wen Xiaohui will show up? He asked. I heard she studied medicine and has already published several papers internationally. She is a rising star in the medical world. I wonder how she looks now. She was the dream girl for so many guys back then. Wonder who the lucky bastard is. A quiet, elegant face flashed through my mind. Probably not. She must be crazy busy at the hospital. He sighed. True, someone as amazing as her is completely out of my league anyway. I looked at him. Do you like her? He shook his head. No, I just admire successful people. That evening, our housekeeper served a wonderful dinner and the two of us sat down at the table. Looking at the massive dining room, he seemed a bit out of place. Where are your parents? Aren't they coming down? He asked. I explained. Right after the engagement dinner, my dad had an issue with an overseas shipment. He took my mom abroad a few days ago to handle it. They probably won't be back anytime soon. He laughed. Look at it this way. Your dad just wanted an excuse to take your mom on a trip without you. I smiled. Maybe. They do that a lot. He looked down, sighing. Their marriage is as beautiful as ever. I would be incredibly lucky to find someone like that. Speaking of luck, why don't we go to the temple tomorrow to pray for my stocks to go up? I agreed. Sure, why not? After dinner, we booted up a video game in the living room. So, tell me the truth about you and that young President Liu. Spill the details, I explained. Remember that childhood friend I told you about? The one with the cute round face who looked like a girl. Yeah, I remember. No way is it her. I nodded. Exactly. His eyes went wide with shock. Oh my God. A childhood friend. That is straight out of a movie. You have to call her right now. Let's invite her to Shenshan Temple with us tomorrow. Under his persistent nagging, I dialed her number. Her gentle voice came through the speaker. Jan, what is wrong? Why are you up so late? I checked the time and realized it was already midnight. Who calls someone at midnight to make plans? Nothing's wrong. I just wanted to see if you are free tomorrow. Do you want to go to Qianshan Temple with us? She paused. Qianshan Temple. Why the sudden interest? Do you have a wish you want to make? I smiled. No, I am just accompanying a friend. She agreed immediately. Sure what time I gave her the details and wished her a good night. Hanging up, I looked at Xiao Yi. She is in. 8 tomorrow morning. He nodded. Just then, his phone vibrated. He glanced down, instantly declined the call, and blocked the number. Watching his flawless routine, I couldn't help but ask, whose call did you reject so fast? He shrugged. Just my ex, the one I told you about. I really liked her, but I took her mom's 60 million, so I have to keep my end of the deal. Here, let me show you her photo. She is half French, half Chinese, and incredibly beautiful. He opened his gallery, showing me a stunning girl in a pink dress. She looks like she hasn't even graduated from college yet, I remarked. He nodded. She is a junior. I was actually the teaching assistant for her class. I raised an eyebrow. She is definitely your type. If you really miss her, why not just return the 60 million? He shook his head. Forget it, we aren't a match anyway. Our backgrounds are too different. Leaving now just means a little regret, but if I stayed and she eventually left me for someone of her own status, I would lose both her and the money. I couldn't quite relate. My own dating philosophy has always been simple. Be together if you love each other and break up if you don't. I couldn't fully agree with his calculated approach, but then again, his tough childhood meant he had to look at things with cold realism. The next morning, Liu Yanluo was already waiting downstairs. When Xiaoyi saw her, his eyes lit up. He nudged me with a grin as if saying, "Your dad's partner's daughter is gorgeous." I smiled and greeted her. "Good morning, Yanluo. I forgot to ask when I called last night, do you have work today? I hope we aren't interrupting anything." She tilted her head and smiled. "Not at all." Soon the three of us drove over to the foot of Qianshan Temple, a famous local landmark. Since the holidays were close, the temple was packed with people. Carrying our incense, we climbed the stone steps one by one until we reached the main temple. Xiaoyi somehow got his hands on 3 red ribbons and handed one to each of us. "Write a wish. Who knows, it might come true." Yanluo and I shared a smile as we took them. "Do you have a wish?" "Yan," she asked. I thought for a moment, then smiled. "Not really. What about you?" She leaned in on her toes and whispered in my ear, "Of course I do. I hope, Fuyan Mr. Yanxi, you're going to be my husband." I froze at her words. "Hey, that's cheating," I teased. Liu Yanluo raised her eyebrows playfully. "Then what's my punishment?" "Yan nearby." Xiaoyi groaned, covered in goosebumps. "You two lovebirds are making me sick," he mumbled, walking away. The card was quickly hung up. "Hang it higher so it comes true." By then, Liu Yanluo and I had finished writing ours. We walked over to the wishing tree only to find Xiaoyi making 3 devout vows. "God, please bless me with endless romance, preferably with beautiful, gorgeous women." Liu Yanluo burst out laughing. "I have some great friends I can introduce to you, but on one condition, you have to talk me up in front of Yan." Xiaoyi's eyes lit up. "It is a deal watching them," I had to chime in. "Is it really appropriate to make deals right in front of my face?" Liu Yanluo shook her head, her eyes full of deep affection. "It is not a deal, it is wooing you." On New Year's Eve, a massive hailstorm hit the city. Amid the ice, my parents called, "Son, your mom and I can't make it back this year. Flights are grounded and the roads are buried in snow. Be careful if you go out." Looking at their faces on my screen, I felt helpless. "I get it, guys. You've said that 3 times. I'm not a kid anymore. You guys stay safe out there, too." After we hung up, Xiaoyi grinned. "Yan, looks like this New Year's just for us 2 brothers to wild out." I smiled. "Yeah, I guess so." Then he asked, "By the way, is your fiancé still wrapping things up in the capital?" I shook my head, not really sure. Just then the doorbell rang. I had given all the estate staff the day off yesterday, so who could it be? I walked over and opened the door. A freezing blast of wind hit me, making me shiver. Outside stood a familiar figure. It was Liu Yanluo. Tilting her head, she smiled. Surprised, I was stunned. "How are you here?" "This morning." She said she had a global meeting and wouldn't make it until tomorrow. She threw herself into my arms and whispered, "I missed you, Yan. I wanted to spend New Year's Eve with you." A wave of warmth rushed through me. I held Liu Yanluo tight, feeling her body heat, and for the first time I whispered, "I missed you too." We held each other for a long time, then she looked up. "Yan, let's get married. Let's get married." Before I could even answer, Xiaoyi, wondering why I took so long, came downstairs. Seeing us, he teased, "Hey, at least shut the door, you two." Realizing it was still wide open, I quickly pulled Liu Yanluo inside and slammed it shut. "With all this heavy snow and hail, how did you even get here? Is the capital stuff all done?" I gently brushed the snow off her coat. She was freezing her ears and cheeks flushed red. "All taken care of," she said. "I drove here." That New Year's Eve, the 3 of us had dinner together, and after the meal, we played cards. Xiaoyi and I teamed up and cleaned her out completely. Looking at her empty wallet, she smiled wryly. "You two are totally ganging up on a poor girl." Xiaoyi and I grinned at each other and said in unison, "Hey, you just lack skill. This has nothing to do with gender." Hail was still drumming against the window. This New Year's Eve was truly special to me. After the holidays, Liu Yanluo returned to the capital for work. Under my father's guidance, I began learning to manage our family business, while Xiaoyi opened his very own law firm. I ran into Chu Qiaoxin again at a business banquet. Her father was introducing her to some industry tycoon. I decided to slip out early, but right outside the door, I bumped into someone. Looking up in surprise, I found myself face to face with Chu Qiaoxin. Seeing me, her eyes shook, and she instinctively stepped closer. Yan. My brow furrowed at the name. What are you doing here after that engagement disaster? My dad had called her grandfather and laid out all her schemes. He told him everything, leaving nothing out. Shocked, her grandfather promised she would never show her face near me again. Only then did my dad drop it. Seeing my cold eyes, Chu Qiaoxin looked as if 1,000 needles were piercing her heart. In that moment, she realized with painful clarity that even though I was alive, she had lost me forever. No, she couldn't accept it. With bloodshot eyes, she grabbed my arm. Yan, I miss you so much. You're all I think about. I pried her hand off and slapped her. Are you out of your mind? Chu Qiaoxin, get help. If my dad hadn't spared you for your grandfather's sake, you'd be in prison by now. Her face was whipped aside, a bright red print burning on her pale skin. Only then did I notice how thin she looked. Maybe I really am crazy. Yan, no matter what, I'm never letting you go again. Her eyes were bloodshot. She had driven 10 hours overnight from the capital to Binshi. She couldn't remember the last time she slept. She was just desperate to see me. The person who haunted her dreams. But I just stared at her like she was a lunatic. Who are you trying to impress? With this devoted act, I'm curious if you laugh while performing. When you watched Jiang Chengdong and the others plot to destroy me, you didn't show a single ounce of mercy. Now you're acting like some tragic lovesick fool. Spare me. Chu Qiaoxin closed her eyes in pain. When she opened them, tears overflowed. Yan, please, give me a chance to make it up to you. My breath caught. Tears. I only found it hilarious. Talk about crocodile tears. Make it up to me. With what, 50 million? Those words stabbed her heart like a knife. A bitter ache rose in her throat, choking her. She desperately wanted to make things right, but just talking to me for a few minutes had left her heart bleeding. She couldn't help but wonder if I had ever loved her. Chu Qiaoxin fell silent for a moment before speaking. Yan, do you remember promising that no matter what, you'd give me a wish card? I want to use it now for that chance. I didn't expect her to bring that up. I froze, then let out a cold laugh. Wait, that wish card had an expiration date. She gasped. What expiration date? I said, casually. The period when I loved you. Now that I don't love you anymore, that card is expired. Her face turned deathly pale, looking as desolate and broken as a leaf in the winter wind. I gave her one last look, turned on my heel, and walked away. Back home, I collapsed onto the sofa. My phone started ringing like crazy. Seeing it was my good friend Xiaoyi that I picked up. His excited voice boomed through the receiver. Yan, awesome news. The class goddess is actually coming to our high school reunion. He was so loud, I instinctively pulled the phone away a bit further from my ear. So let her come. I'll book the hotel. Where do you want to eat? Xiaoyi cut me off. No need. Someone already offered to sponsor the whole reunion. Who your fiancé? She offered to pay for everything. My eyes widened. Wait, what? Yeah, but she had one tiny request. She wanted me to give her the venue address. Maybe she wants to pick you up. I sighed, feeling a bit helpless. Why didn't she just ask me? Xiaoyi laughed, jealous. Oh, classmate Fu, Yanxi acting all aloof is bad. I suggest you and your fiancé have a good chat. I chuckled. So she's already sister-in-law to you? The reunion was held at the best 5-star hotel in Binshi. Many of our old classmates were already parents now, chatting and reminiscing about our long-gone youth. Even the class genius Wen Xiao brought her boyfriend along. Xiaoyi stared at his teenage crush now, a top-tier medical researcher, and sighed to me. Even my goddess has a boyfriend now. The corner of my mouth twitched. Don't tell me you organized this just for her. Xiaoyi's eyes darted around. Well, okay, yes, maybe I burst out laughing and shook my head. Well, nothing you can do now. She brought her boyfriend, so you might as well give up. After the reunion ended, everyone was still buzzing with excitement. Everyone was still full of energy, making plans for the next meetup. Outside, sleet was falling and our breath misted in the cold air. It was past 10 p.m., and getting a cab in this weather was impossible. Since everyone had come from far away, I had my driver drive everyone back one by one. Near the hotel entrance, Xiaoyi sighed. Life never goes my way. The more I want something, the more God denies me. Just then, I noticed a blonde woman standing under a nearby streetlight, her gaze locked onto Xiaoyi like she wanted to skin him alive. She slowly walked over the streetlight, casting an innate nobility over her like a European princess. I froze. She was the girl from the photo on Xiaoyi's phone, though her style now looked noticeably more elegant and mature. I nudged Xiaoyi's sleeve. Hey, looks like your ex-girlfriend is tracking you down. Xiao Yi followed my gaze, his eyes locking onto a pair of cold brown eyes. His heart skipped a beat. He clearly had never expected she would actually come looking for him. Her voice was icy. Xiao Yi, why did you suddenly break up? Why didn't you give me a reason? Why did you leave Germany? Looking at her, Xiao Yi spoke with flat composure. Your mother gave me 60 million to leave you. I took the money, so I left. She stepped closer, whispering, 60 million. Am I only worth 60 million to you? Or did you think our love was only worth that much? I can give you more. Just come back to me. Her voice cracked with hurt. Xiao Yi looked pained, trying to pry her hand off, but he couldn't seem to let go. Our worlds are too different. Besides, I had to return to China anyway. I couldn't just take the money and stay. Her expression darkened and she started dragging him toward a car. I stepped forward to intervene. Hey, let's talk this through peacefully. The woman looked at me. I just want to talk to him. I glanced at Xiao Yi and he nodded. Bro, go ahead without me. Once Yanlo gets here, tell her I had to handle some personal stuff. I nodded, watching them get into her car. As the car sped away, I couldn't shake my worry. Given her background, she could easily crush Xiao Yi. I pulled out my phone and sent him a quick text. If you need anything, let me know.